Hey, what's up guys, how's it going? In this video, I'm just going to show you how you can set up a GraphQL project for production and also how to structure that. Now, this video is not about me teaching you the basics of GraphQL. You should have already know that. My goal of this video is just to teach you how you can set up a GraphQL project for production and how you can structure that project for scalability. Also, we're not going to build any kind of serious project. I'm going to demonstrate everything with dummy examples. But once you get the basic idea out of this video, you'll be able to apply this principle in your own project. And also, I have done a similar type of video about setting up a Node.js project for production. I will also put the link on the description. So before we get started, please consider like this video and subscribe to my channel. This really helps me a lot. So without further ado, let's get started. Also, I have already written a blog post about it on my website. You will find all of the commands that I'm going to use in this video in the blog post, and also you can use this for your future reference. So the link will be on the description. Check that out. Okay, so first of all, we need to create a directory. So mkdir GraphQL setup -yt. So GraphQL setup yt. And now we need to first initialize the package.json. So npm init-y. So we have the package.json. Now we need to install some packages. I'm just going to grab the commands from my blog. So we are going to install these dependencies: Apollo server, GraphQL, and Nodejs. So let's install. Okay, so now we need to install the dev dependencies. So first we're going to install Babel CLI for command line interface, then Babel core, the core package, Babel node for Node.js, and Babel preset env. Preset env is just a combination of Babel plugins. And then we have Babel plugin module resolver. It is going to be needed if you are going to use absolute import, but we're not going to use absolute import, so I'm going to delete this. And then we will install nodemon. Nodemon will automatically restart our server whenever we will add changes to our file. So let's install. Alright, so they are now installed. So let's open up the project in our text editor. So we have this package.json file. Now we need to create a Babel RC file for Babel configuration. So .babel RC. RC files are kind of like JSON. I'm just gonna paste the configuration here. So we have this presets property, which is an array of presets, and we have installed only one preset env. So that's it for the Babel config. Now we need to go to package.json and we need to add some script. So I'm just gonna delete this and I'm just gonna paste all of the script here. Alright, so we have these scripts. First we have this dev script, and we're going to use nodemon to restart our server. But before that, we're going to execute Babel node, and we have given us the entry path, which is source/index.js. And then we have build script for building our source code for production. We're going to execute Babel. This one is our source directory for our source code. And then we have specified where we want to store this code. We want to store the compiled code in the build directory, which doesn't exist, but Babel will create that for us. And then we have the start script for starting our Node.js server, not with the source code, but with the compiled code. So first we're going to make sure that this build command run. So npm run build, which will run this script. And after that, we're going to run our compiled code with node, not nodemon. So build/index.js. So these are our scripts. So let's first create our simple GraphQL server. So I'm just gonna create another directory, source. Then there we're gonna create index.js. So first we will need two things. We will need Apollo server from Apollo/server. Then we will need another function, start standalone server, from Apollo/server/standalone. And now I'm just going to paste an array. This is an array of books which has title and author in every single object. And now we need to create type definitions. So I'm just going to paste them here. Okay, so we have this type-defs variable which has this template string, and inside the template string we have added this # GraphQL for getting the syntax highlighting. And then we have this book type, which has title and author. Both of them are string. Then we have this query type, and we have this font query books, which will just return this book type, an array of book type. And then we have this resolvers object, where we have query as the property name. Then we have objects, and inside this objects we have the resolvers. For books query, we have this books method, which will just return this array of books. And now we need to add the code for starting our server. So we're gonna need an if function. So I'm gonna create an asynchronous if function. We don't need any arguments. So first let's create an instance of the Apollo server. So const server, new Apollo server. And we're gonna pass an object. Inside this object, we're gonna pass the type definitions and resolvers. Now we need to call the start standalone server method, which is asynchronous. So await start standalone server. We're gonna pass the server object, and then we're gonna pass another object. We're gonna pass listen, and we need to specify the port, and the port will be 5000. And we can get the URL from the return object. And now we can just do our console log. Alright, so we have our GraphQL server ready. Let's see if everything works or not. So let's just open up a new tab. Let's run the dev server with npm run dev. Okay, so we have this message, server ready at localhost 5000. So let's click on it. And here is our GraphQL playground. So I'm going to zoom it for you. So we have this example query. I'm going to remove this ID and let's query for books. So books. And we want all the author and also the title. Okay, so let's run the query. And as you can see that we have the results. We have this author and title. I can just delete the title from the query. And we are now just getting the author name. So our GraphQL server is running fine. So I'm going to kill the server. We can also build our code with npm run build. Okay, so it has compiled our code. So let's go to the build directory. The build directory, I didn't create that. So index.js, and here is our compiled code. Okay, and we can also start our compiled code. So npm start. So first it has compiled our code with Babel, then it has run our server, and I can just refresh. The GraphQL playground is here, and I can also execute the query. Works fine. So our GraphQL server is running fine. Now let me show you how you can structure your GraphQL project. Now, if you are using GraphQL for your project, that means it's not a small project. Because if it's a small project, you will probably not use GraphQL. And if it's not a small project, you will have a lot of type definitions and resolvers, a lot of functions. So it is very important that you split your code into different files. So now let me show you how you can structure your code. Now before I start, let me clear one thing, that my way of structuring is not the best. And also it's not the perfect. I haven't found any standard way of doing it. So feel free to modify the code structure based on your need. Okay, so first of all, I'm just gonna comment out these lines. What I like to do is I like to create another directory called GraphQL. You can call it something else. So GraphQL. And inside the GraphQL, I will create two more files. One will be resolvers.js and another one will be typedeps.js. So what are going to be inside these files? And just like I have mentioned before, we're gonna split our type definitions and resolvers into different files. So in typedeps.js, we're gonna bring all of the type definition from other files and put them inside a single array. And just like that, in the resolvers.js file, we're going to create a single object, and then we're going to bring all of the resolvers from other files and put them inside one single object. It will be easier to understand if I just show it to you. So first we need to create some initial type definitions. So const initial type defs. And then we're going to create a type defs array. And then we're going to just export it. So let's add initial type defs. And here we need to initialize the query type and the mutation type. So type query. It will not have actual query, so I'm just going to add underscore empty, which will return string. And then I'm just going to copy this. And it will be mutation type. And it will have the same thing. Let me just fix the indentation. Okay. So we have this type defs array, which has this initial type defs. And on other type defs file, we're just going to extend this query type and mutation type. There can be more than one query type and one mutation type. And inside this resolvers file, first we're going to import the merge function from nodejs /merge. And we're going to create a resolvers object. Actually, we're going to call the merge function, and then we're going to pass an empty object for now. We're going to replace that later. And then we're going to export it. Export default resolvers. And we're going to import them. So import type defs from GraphQL type defs, and then import resolvers from GraphQL resolvers. And we're going to uncomment them here. Okay, so now how can we create our type definitions in other files? So let me show you. Now inside this GraphQL directory, I like to create some other directories based on feature or service. So suppose we are building a social media application, and those will have some features like login, register, logout, then deleting user, and so on. So I will create a user directory. So user. And inside the user directory, I will create type definition file. So user type defs.js. And then for resolvers, I'm going to create a file, user resolvers.js. And then you will need to add some other files for resolvers and so on. So that's for the user. And then users have profile. So you can create another directory called profile, and you can store all the type definitions and resolvers file inside that profile directory. Then you will have post feature. You will create another directory called post, and so on. So that's the basic idea. So I'm not going to create any more directory. I'm just going to give you the example of the user. So let's first open up the user type defs. I'm just going to paste the type definitions. Okay, so we have this type definition. We have user type, which will have a name and a country property. And here you can see we are extending the mutation type. We're not creating another mutation type. So we will have these mutations, register user, login user, logout user. I'm just going to accept an argument name. Again, these are just dummy examples, and every mutations will just return a user type. So this is our type definition. So let's go to the type defs file, and let's just import that. So import user type defs from /user/user type defs. And we're going to add the user type defs. Okay, so now let's add resolvers for this mutation. So I will create another file for this mutation type. So authenticate user.js. And inside this file, I'm going to add all the resolvers that is related to authentication. And again, I'm just going to paste some code. So the mutation functions take 3 or 4 parameters. The argument is in the second parameter as an object. So we are just getting the name and then we're just returning the name. Okay, and inside the function you will have the logic for that mutation. And now we need to create another object, so const resolvers, and inside the object we will have the mutation property, mutation, and inside this object we will add all of our functions, so register user, login user, and logout user, and the property name has to match with the mutation types. So let's just go to user resolvers file. Again, I'm going to paste some code. So we have imported the merge function again, the resolvers object from the authenticate user file, and then we have created another object, user resolvers, and we are calling the merge function, and then we have passed that resolvers object. Okay, so the resolvers are ready. Let's go to the resolvers.js file outside the user directory, and now we are going to import the user resolvers. So import user resolvers, and we're going to pass user resolvers. Now you might ask a question that why am I using the merge function instead of the spread operator of JavaScript? Well, the spread operator won't do a deep merge. We want a deep merge, so that's why we are using the merge function from Node.js. You can also create your own deep merge function, or you can get that from online. Okay, so let's go to the typedefs file, and we have already added the user typedefs, and also we have added all the typedefs from other files. And now our app still should work fine. So let's test it out. I'm gonna kill this, and again run npm run dev. Okay, so we don't have any errors. Server ready at localhost 5000. Let's just refresh. And we don't have any queries. I'm just going to comment them out. We have only mutations. So let's go to root. And here we have mutations. And you can see all the mutation types. Let's click on login user. You can see we have this argument, name string, and return fields country, name. Okay, so if I click on this add icon, you can see we have the code for the mutation, login user. And if I hit control space, it gives me auto completion like name. So if I just click on login user, it's login user null. Okay, so we haven't passed any argument. It is expecting a name as an argument. So we can click on this, and now we can pass name in our mutation, and you can give the value here. I will give my name on John. So let's execute again. Okay, so now you can see the mutation type is working. I can also add another mutation, register user. Let's add that, add an argument. This one will be like Jack. And again, let's get the name. So let's execute. And you can see for this mutation, the name is Jack. Okay, so all of our mutation types are now working. So we have successfully structured our GraphQL project into different directories. And again, sorry, this was just dummy examples, but I hope you get the idea of how to do it. And if you get the basic idea, I'm pretty sure you will be able to structure your code based on your need. So that's all I wanted to show you. I have a plan on making a video about GraphQL authentication and authorization, where I will teach you how to create an authentication system with JSON Web Token. And then on another video, I'm going to show you how you can implement user authorization in GraphQL. Okay, so if you are interested, please like the video and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the next video. You can also follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter at @thatonjohn, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.